Well, one of the things that I am curious about is how you maintain your good spirit. I think the one thing that everybody says about you is that you're unbelievably optimistic, happy, I'd almost even say blissful. And I know I even questioned that early on in our relationship because I thought, how can that possibly be? How can that be true? But yet it seems to be confirmed over and over again. So, I mean, my main curiosity is, how do you do that? Of course, you must have very, very dark moments. But for the most part, the way I see you is incredibly joyful.
Thank you for that reflection. And it's not the first time that someone said to me, someone thought that I was faking my attitude. It kind of, I see people questioning it fairly regularly. And the only answer, well, I have a few answers to that. One is that I am showered with grace in this health challenge. I honestly don't know where my, even to me, pretty miraculous perseverance comes from. So I know that it's not totally personal, it's a blessing. And I think about it a lot. I think, why? Yeah, nobody sees the raw, gut-wrenching, like Cathy pulling the covers over her head and sobbing her guts out because she's so frustrated, or because she doesn't have enough energy to get out of bed, or see another person, or it just feels like the end. People don't see that because I live by myself. I'm a pretty private person, and I don't really share that much. Number one, because I'm not really interested in complaining. I'm not, there's this whole culture of woundology where, it's sort of acceptable to say, oh, my arthritis is really acting up today, and oh, this is what happened with me. It just, at this point, I feel my mortality really deeply, and with whatever time I have left, I don't want to talk about, I don't want to talk about boring stuff, or I really don't want to use my time being a victim to the cards that I was dealt. So I continually try and find other ways. And I am private, but I also am a very connective person, and so connecting with people is really, really vital to me. And I noticed that I have this kind of new job in the world. Like now I spent 30 years as an artist, and I can't do that anymore because my right hand doesn't work, and pretty much my whole left side doesn't work. But this new kind of presence in the world is starting to show up, and it has to do with me just being myself and rolling around town with Emma, just being present. And I care about style, I care about putting myself together, and I put myself together and I go out, and people see someone who I think I don't look like I belong in a wheelchair. And I'm also younger than I think most people that you might see who are unable to walk. And I make a point of trying, like really catching people's eyes and connecting with people. And what I see is that, each time each time someone says, may I open the door for you? Because people kind of freak out, and they go through this questioning, should I open the door for her? Should I not open the door for her? someone opens the door and I look them in the eye and I say, thank you so much. I can see their whole visage changes. They're a different person, and I know why, because they felt like a hero for a moment. And they also got to be of service with me, and I really got it. I really appreciated it. I didn't thanks.
And I'm sure you flashed them that beautiful smile of yours, which would light up anybody's world.
It's like these connections, I can tell that it makes a difference. It makes a huge difference to me, and it makes a huge difference to them.
Now, were you conscious of that before you were in a wheelchair? Were you conscious of making connections with people on that level? Or was the opportunity not there?
I mean, I've always been, I was brought up well, I have good manners, and so, I say please and thank you, and I have a lot of gratitude, but my level of gratitude, I notice so much more than I ever did before, and that's one of the huge, huge gifts of this. I don't have the luxury that most people have of having my attention all over the place, which is very seductive. I'm right here. I have to stay right here in this chair, and so my attention gets very acute, and I notice so many things that I didn't notice before. Like, for an example, my perspective, my life view is 2 feet lower than most people because of sitting in a wheelchair. And what I'm noticing is that there's this whole entire plane of existence. I know a lot of the street people's names because they're down low. And I always was afraid and timid about, having a connection with these people. But these people care about me. I have this whole life happening that I just lent a blind eye to anything that was uncomfortable in any way, shape, or form, really. Our culture seems to be built on comfort as its #1 value, and I'm living in discomfort most of the time. So I have to other values are like rising to the surface. It's really, and these are things that are fascinating to me. I'm becoming much more, much, much more. And I know that's the sheen that comes from me. It's a new level of paying attention, really. And when people are noticed and seen and held with some sense of import, it changes them. It changes all of us.
So what I'm hearing is that even from a physical standpoint, because your perspective, you're at a completely different angle than most adults. So that gives you a whole different world. It's almost as if, you hear about people who are into bugs and they're down on the ground looking at the amazing world that's going on a blade of grass. And you're like a few feet up and you're seeing this middle world of all these amazing things that maybe most adults are not even aware of.
Yes.
Interesting.
It is fascinating. And every day, because, there's this whole plane of existence that I never paid any attention to. It was just, I was totally blind to it. I'm having relationships with people who are on the street. And, like depth relationships. Not, long term. I don't know why I call it depth because they're significant. It's not just a hi, how are you doing? It's they watch me. They are aware of how I'm doing, and I'm aware of if they're present in their usual place, and it feels incredibly deeply human.